Okay, hi everybody. This is our Scorpio pre-full moon webinar. A very important sign, especially at this time of the testing of humanity. I would say about to go through very great tests on the way to prepare for the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the Christ. Please excuse me, my voice hasn't quite come back from the flu, but I'll do the best I can. We have here, let's see, where are we? I guess we're about a little less than 24 hours before the actual full moon. The full moon will be on October the 29th, at least in Europe, at 7:49 and 26 seconds, about 10 minutes to 8 p.m. on the 29th, and on the 30th in Australia and New Zealand. We have here the banner created to show the rulers of Scorpio with its mantram, Warrior Am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. This is a warring planet in many respects. It is the fourth planet, fourth major planet anyway. From the sun, our symbol is the cross. We are a kind of solar systemic base of the spine's center. We have a powerful destiny, a willful destiny within this solar system. And when the time comes for our solar logos to take his fifth initiation, his fifth cosmic initiation, our planet will be very important indeed as a dispenser of solar systemic kundalini. Although it is the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, which is said to come majorly through the constellation Scorpio, there's a great deal of the first ray in it as well, with Hercules being the triumphant disciple, the constellation Hercules being, I think, the third of the additional constellations associated with the sign Scorpio. It carries a strong first ray component. Usually the rulers here are considered to be Mars from the exoteric point of view, and as well from the spiritual or esoteric point of view. Mars is the double ruler here, just as Saturn is the double ruler of Capricorn, and both of these signs, Scorpio and Capricorn, being critical in the development of the human being, especially as that human being seeks to enter the hierarchy. As well, the forces of opposition are strongly anchored in the signs Scorpio and Capricorn. So when we're dealing with all that resists our better angels, as it were, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, we will frequently be dealing with the lower aspects of Scorpio, Pluto as well being associated with that, and Pluto ruling the underworld of our aura, where so much is stored in an unredeemed manner and has to be brought up to the light of day, as it is called, for redemption. Eventually, there will be Mercury as the hierarchical ruler, finally a kind of Buddhic ruler of Scorpio, because once all of the 9 tests, the 9 associated with the third ray, it being the number of the third ray. When those tests are overcome, then our consciousness will be lifted onto the Buddhic plane and will begin an entirely new phase of evolution in the cosmic ethers, as they are called, the higher mental plane, the Buddhic plane, the Atmic plane. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerged triumphant. There are many battles here to be fought. Each has his own battle. If you're a human being, you're ruled, you're ruled by Scorpio just by being a human being. You're ruled by Mercury just by being a human being. And eventually, Mercury, the star of conflict, will give way to the kind of harmony which is achieved on the Buddhic level once all illusion is overcome. It's a big battle. It takes millions of years, and even for those of us who are now waking up, it still will take thousands of years before most of us see our way through into the light of day, the clear, cold light of the Buddhic plane. Here we have the Jafra illustration. We see the scorpion. The color crimson red is considered associated here, sort of blood red. The Aries color is the brighter red. And it's a triple sign, Scorpio, just as Virgo is. All 3 aspects of the human threefold personality have to be subdued and brought into right condition in relation to the conquering soul. Soul becomes the warrior in Scorpio, and we have to learn how to let that inner warrior fight. We have to fight the good fight here on our lower levels, but we have to learn how to let the warrior fight through us. The scorpion is perhaps the lower symbol in a way of the energy of this constellation, the eagle in a way the higher, indicating the kind of transcendence of the lower energies which is possible when, in fact, we allow the intuition to enter and see Maya, glamour, and illusion for what they are. It is a sign of life and death, as we see here, the baby representing the new life and the skull, death, but it's the sign of the overcoming of death, and certainly of the overcoming of the death to consciousness. We learn in this sign out of poison to distill the elixir of life. Here in this alchemical chalice, we see the hints of the elixir giving us the golden sun power of the soul, helping to transform us into truly solar beings and eventually into Syrian beings, this constellation being very closely related to the star Sirius, which is responsible for all initiation upon our planet. But of course, we come face to face with all that is negative in our nature, and this has long been stored and is unredeemed. We see here the classic image of St. George slaying the lower dragon, which is the threefold unredeemed personality. Of course, once that beast is slain, we have the chance of becoming a true master of wisdom, a master of wisdom being a lesser dragon of wisdom, reflecting the great dragon Draco, the true dragon of wisdom in our constellational sky. So great power is generated in this sign, and the ability at last to dispel illusion through the power of the intuition. So much can be said of it. Many, many tests are discovered here. The physical tests of sex, money, and comfort. The emotional tests of fear, hatred, and ambition, or the love of power. The mental tests of pride, separativeness, and cruelty. These are the 9 heads of the Hydra, or the dragon. And there are many lesser heads, as it were, which are offshoots of these 9 principal vices. All of us, being human beings, have to battle with vice of one kind or another, and it becomes increasingly subtle matter, really. So what is a crude sort of vice, once overcome, gives way to lesser things that grip us. That's what a vice does. It grips you, and it holds you in the lower 3 worlds. It holds your consciousness in the lower 3 worlds. Well, a kind of death to form life is a new birth in the world of consciousness and being, and it is this that we look forward to. There's much to be said, but I'll just say a little here. We have Francis Donald's images, the ascending disciple, and here the phoenix. He has some things to say about this, and I will read some of what he has to say, and Francis will be happy to send you his images and the text that he has written for them. An old commentary passage describes the experience we see unfolding in ascension in this manner. The Ancient One, the personality, dies by drowning. Such is the test. The waters envelop him, and there is no escape. And he says, notice the figure beneath the waters here, the one who has drowned. He drowns, the fires of passion are then quenched. The life of desire ceases its appeal, and to the bottom of the lake he now descends. Later he reascends to where the white horse awaits his coming, the white horse being the purified personality having gone through the many tests of Scorpio, and it is the white horse in the sign Sagittarius, which can make great progress because of the purification through which it has passed. Francis says this passage represents the shift from personality to soul identification, which the Tibetan tells us is the consummating experience of Scorpio, soul identification. Re-identification is the theme in both the images, but if we mentally place the phoenix on top of the ascension, we see it has an archetypal correspondence to that which it overlays. The red-clad, drowned figure represents the personality and becomes Mars itself, which in Scorpio rules the threefold personality. So there is the red-clad figure here below. The drowned personality, the fires of passion, have been snuffed out. It's as if the moon has entered its fall in Scorpio, and there is the death of desire. The moon or outer form gives way to the sun, here shown as the illuminating solar vitality of the phoenix. We can look at that, and we see the radiance at the central point of the phoenix. The upturned hands and gaze of the disciple in the first illustration become an embodied chalice, for now the disciple is one with that which he or she receives from the inner wellspring. Whether or not the sign Scorpio has to do with the ascension initiation, the 6th initiation, this is a question to be debated, but we all ascend to a degree as our consciousness rises into identification with the soul. The fixed cross here becomes the trefoil described below, and the human form gives way to the geometry of the soul, and the transformative influence of Sirius becomes increasingly dominant. The disciple's winged heart has ignited the clear, cold fire of mind, the clear, cold fire of the Buddhic plane, really. The Scorpio strengthens the mind in many respects before it gives way to the full flowering of the intuition under the hierarchical ruler, Mercury. And thus, through all these changes, the disciple becomes the phoenix, or initiate, rising from death, rising from apparent death in form, and rising into life, which is the full flowering of consciousness, and still higher into pure being. Now, many things included here. I don't have time for them all. This description of the chalice is found in the rays and the initiations. I would recommend, as Francis does, that you go to those old commentaries and look at the three chalices and the central fire. I just want to say a little bit here about the phoenix. Let's take a look at its figure again. It is in the form of the trefoil, which is a continuous figure. Maybe I can show what that looks like. There it is. This is the trefoil, a continuous figure which unites the three in one, a sort of solution to the Trinitarian problem. Interesting that Scorpio is one of the Trinitarian signs. It's a 3-in-1, as is Virgo. So here is what is said under the phoenix. The ancient Egyptian papyri tell us that Bennu, the Bennu bird, the Egyptian phoenix, burst forth from the heart of Osiris. It's interesting how the fourth initiation, with which I think Scorpio is also implicated, is that initiation which places special emphasis upon the heart. And we rise out of death into the life of the cosmic ethers. So anyway, it burst forth from the heart of Osiris, thus giving form to Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Notice the relation of Ra to Re. Through the Book of the Dead, the phoenix says, I am the Bennu bird, the heart soul of Ra. Some of the titles of the Bennu bird were He Who Came into Being by Himself. It sounds like Swabhavat, the self becoming one, and the ascending one. Its name also a verb, WBN, in the Egyptian text, to rise brilliantly. The transformative theme in both of the illustrations can be traced through the colors used. Earthy reds in the first, the garment of the drowned man and the planet Mars, give way to the tones of rose and electric blue. The colors of the sixth ray of devotion, Mars, Scorpio's Esso and Exo ruler, and the sixth ray planet. The core of each piece radiates yellow-white, representing both solar consciousness and fourth ray, Mercury, Scorpio's hierarchical ruler. So here we're dealing with the ascent to the Buddhic plane. One of the principal Buddhic colors is yellow, and another the blue as well. So a concluding thought here from the Tibetan. In Scorpio, the result of all the struggles carried forward during the seemingly endless pilgrimage around the zodiac or wheel of life is brought to a point of climax. The DK uses words like terrific to describe the type of experience that is experienced in Scorpio, really at all three initiations, but classically in relation to the second initiation. And as I've said, this idea of death unto life seems very closely related to the fourth initiation as well, but the role of Scorpio is different there, bringing an end to the Leonian egoic lotus. It is in this sign that the prodigal son comes to himself, and having eaten of the husks of life, and having exhausted the resources of worldly desire and ambition, he says, I will arise and go to my Father. And so this will indeed lead to the monad to the re-merging with the monad as the monad, and it brings us to the conclusion eventually of our pilgrimage, seemingly endless, though having a term, I suspect maybe a 25 million year term, something of that nature, faster for some, though perhaps slower for others. Well, thank you, Francis, for these two illustrations, appreciation for that, and for the illumined commentary on these illustrations. So we come now to the meditation itself. We are in the period, we are still in the period of preparation. We're not quite into the day of safeguarding where we receive and hold the available energies, but we can certainly feel them building. We are in the day of dedication, which is a mental act, an important act in connection with the second initiation. And we will be following through on these days of distribution. You can use this meditation that we are going to do now, either for the actual full moon if you wish, or certainly during days of distribution. So then let us begin by withdrawing the consciousness from the personality and its vehicles. We steady ourselves outwardly on the physical plane, steady breath, and we find ourselves, one of our identities as the soul in incarnation, and this center, this immersed center, we begin to withdraw from its preoccupation with the senses, the outer life, withdrawing from sentient identification, identification with feelings and sentient states, withdrawing also from many thoughts and changes within the lower mind, where the concrete thought forms can be found. We withdraw. We get the feel of ourselves as the observing soul in incarnation, and we begin to merge. As we dismiss the lower fields from our attention, we begin to merge into the causal field where a truer self can be found, into the center we know as the soul, into the consciousness that can be found within the egoic lotus on the higher mental plane, we are in this field of soul light, soul love, the soul will to sacrifice, a growing sense of synthesis, and the sense of the being within this consciousness we call soul. And it's not an individual soul, it is a group soul. Really connected to all other units of consciousness in the human race and even on the planet. So in the world of soul, I'm merging with all souls as the group soul, merging in soul with the spiritually minded men and women of goodwill, merging with the core of that group, the new group of world servers, merging in consciousness with each other as soul, and getting the sense of the one soul of humanity, touching all the many, the billions of human souls, whether those consciousnesses are what we call within the body or on the other side still in soul. We merge with all, realizing that there is no human soul that we cannot identify with and with which we are not essentially identified. So then, let the soul realize the consciousness of God. Let the word reverberate through the silence. Naught is but me. The larger identity that we all possess, and of which we should certainly remind ourselves every day, so we do not fall under the illusion of being that isolated, apparently isolated being we call the personality. Naught is but me, capital M-E in the larger sense. And here we are then, in this one being, with its one consciousness, perceiving through many different apertures of sentiency, we have expanded our sense of identity. It's so important. And we have begun pervading many apparently different or separated units until we find ourselves within every one of them. And if we could do this, we would indeed overcome the illusion, glamour, Maya, which are the Mara-like enemy of the true disciple initiate in Scorpio. Here, as an esoteric group, we stand upon the plane of mind, focusing at first mentally as the foundation and drawing down the power of the group soul in its will aspect, strengthening our foundation in the illumined mind, stimulating that point of mental focus through the will to initiate, Ray 1, the will to unify, Ray 2, the will to evolve, Ray 3, the will to harmonize, Ray 4, the will to act, Ray 5, the will to cause, Ray 6, and the will to express, ray 7. Drawing up the potencies of our personality into this strengthened foundation from which we will project the rainbow bridge. We imagine it individually, at least, with two colors. One the color of our soul ray, the other the color of our personality ray. Ray 1 red, ray 2 indigo, ray 3 green, ray 4 yellow, ray 5 orange, ray 6 silvery rose or light blue, ray 7 violet. We visualize two colors individually, extending in light across the gap which separates us from the more comprehensive triadal view, touching these triadal spheres of abstract mind, of Buddhic intuition and pure reason, of Atmic will, spiritual will, our individual bridge, as it were, rising, and yet all bridges rising together in the group bridge of all the many colors. Cone-like, if we will, anchoring the many colors in the blue-white diamond of being, or the monad, our doorway into the shambolic energy. But for now, simply imagining our contact with our own microcosmic, central, spiritual sun. Or if we wish to send the bridges inward toward the center of the sphere, we will find the blue-white diamond there. But whether the cone or the center of the sphere, we are, as it were, touching the blue-white diamond. We have some sense of what being is, of what purpose may be, and divine will. So across this bridge, we will project the vivid, radiant line of light. The individual projection, the group projection, we will use the words, the mantra of the great second ray, the major ray of our planet and solar system. For now, I see the greatest light. We will do this 3 times. I see the greatest light. We will sound the Om on the second ray note and imagine the projecting of the vivid line of energy all the way through across the bridge and touching into the very highest point of the bridge. I see the greatest light. And into our consciousness and into our energy system can pour from the other side, as it were, the life of being, the will of Atma, the love wisdom of Buddhi, the creative intelligence of higher mind. We can allow this to happen, at least imaginatively. Excuse me. Imaginatively, we allow this to happen. I see greatest light. And then it's as if we are somehow able to focus or receive energy from the realm wherein the spiritual hierarchy itself is focused, ashramically. And we are as if companions, lesser but cooperative companions with the members of the Great White Lodge. And we declare our solidarity with the members of the Lodge. We offer our fidelity, our salutations, our spiritual comradeship, our will to serve the ends which they conceive in line with the plan, which is in line with the purpose which Sanat Kumara has conceived, in line with the greater purpose of our solar God. So we will offer our salutations, our heartfelt solidarity with these great energies, these masters, these Chohans, who carry out the will of Sanat Kumara. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. The teacher alike of angels and of men. As a group, we offer our salutations. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely. We visualize that triangle. Master M, Master KH, Master DK, with the Christ at the center. Salutations to the Master Moria, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations, the Manu of the future. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, whose ashram specifically prepares for the reappearance of the Lord Maitreya, Master Kutumi, the coming Christ of the age of Capricorn. Salutations to the Master Jwalku, the teacher who has brought the blue books to us, the messenger of the hierarchy, the one who trains aspirants for initiation. Salutations to your own master as you conceive him to be. Salutations to the spiritual hierarchy of our planet in its entirety. And let us, as a group, raise our thought to Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known, and with deepest reverence and in all humility, attempt, identified as the group soul, as the group being, to attune with the presence of the Sanat Kumara, standing at the very center of Shambhala. And may his will, to the measure possible, be done through us as a group and through all those we serve and contact. May that will be done, and together we sound silently a long Om as we imagine the group imbued with his energy. Imagine ourselves as a brilliant point of light, a point of love, a point of being. We collapse all the time-space images of what we are as persons and become this point. All at the same point, no space, no time. Here together now, we are, as it were, above a golden pathway which leads into the heart of the indigo sun, the very center of the golden sphere of the indigo sun. We begin our journey inward and outward towards the great energies. The golden pathway shortens. We at the point move with the pathway, the shortening pathway. It shortens and shortens. And it and we are absorbed into the sphere of indigo blue. And we breathe that in, this deep indigo. We take it into our heart, into our head center. And here we find the consciousness of Master DK, as if in support of our quest to understand and contact. The energy is increasingly available at this point. And we stay, as it were, within his consciousness as we attempt to understand, receive, and wield these available energies. So we will then be aligning with the spiritual qualities emanating from the three planetary rulers of Scorpio and from Pluto is included as one of them. Mars, the exoteric ruler, conveying the courage, the outer courage to face the outer opponent, of which there are many and will be many as we tread this path. Mars, also the esoteric ruler, conveying the courage to struggle for the sake of a high ideal and to confront as well the inner opponent, the dweller on the threshold. This is the first stage, that confrontation of the inner opponent, which is but the unredeemed residue of our own thoughts, actions, and feelings over the ages. Mercury will be reached, but not before Pluto has done its work as well, scouring the lower aura. Scouring the lower aura so that we may bring to the surface all that impedes, all that can stand in the way of the brilliant purity we require to identify as the divine. Mercury it will be that will help us overcome the dweller on the threshold. It's conveying a disillusioning power of Buddhic illumination. So the destruction will occur through intuition, seeing all this illusion as nothing to be identified with. And through Pluto cutting the thread which binds us to these lower unredeemed energy patterns. We will be free as humanity is intended to be free under Mercury and Scorpio. It's not for nothing that Uranus is the exalted ruler of Scorpio. Uranus, the planet of freedom. Down into the depths, and yet cutting loose from the depths and rising to the heights. Ascending. We will achieve this. So let us look at these one by one. First, ponder on Mars, the red planet, red-orange planet. The power of Mars in relation to Scorpio. First, to strengthen the will to confront and overcome the outer enemy. Is there such a being for you, for any of us, for the group? This enemy must be overcome. Mars will not be sufficient, but it will begin the necessary confrontation. For the inner enemies are always reflected as outer enemies as well, if we can read symbolically. Humanity has a Hydra, an outer Hydra. In the present time, financial greed, religious intolerance, dictatorship, forcing totalitarianism upon the people. These are three of the outer enemies, and you can think, I'm sure, of many more. They will not go away, and there will be a last-ditch fight of materialism. Will we have the courage to play our part in this battle? But then there is the enemy within. Even more severe. There will be a Martian fight to the death with our own hidden vices, the things which we barely suspect of ourselves, perhaps, but which others perhaps can see. The fight with that negativity until the light of day can shine forth, and the illumination of all within the lower 18 subplanes ruled by the moon can take place, be achieved. An outer battle and an inner battle under Mars. Exoteric, esoteric. Let us as a group open to the inflow of this crimson energy, this red energy, carrying the sixth ray and also the first ray. We feel the courage entering the group and each one of us. The age of the heart, courage, cultivated over millions of years. The courage of Mars. The divine idealism. Engaging us in the first stages of the battle. And so may we be stalwart, may we be valorous, may we be valiant. All those old words, but suggesting virtues which each one of us needs. The courage to overcome the outer and the inner enemy. We, the group, are in need of these qualities. So is all of humanity. So visualize them flowing into the group and strengthening the group. Strengthening the group, possessed by the group, never wanting from the armamentarium of the group. These high qualities of Mars we will possess. We watch this inflow and we feel this imbuing of the energy. We will sound the Om as we visualize this strengthening us where need is. Seeing Mars come to our aid where we have the true individual and group need. So that we together may achieve a type of spiritual heroism, the word so often used by Master Moria, the hero, a deep concept. No master has become master without some form of heroism, a virtue of Mars. Imbued then with this crimson energy, we move on to consider a kind of secondary ruler of Scorpio, but a powerful one, Pluto. Pluto in relation to Scorpio, giving the power to terminate all the energy patterns which stultify and suffocate the consciousness. And there are so many, if we are not watchful, they can come upon us almost unknown and rising from below, snuff out our higher consciousness. We must not allow that. So we contemplate then, in that distant and cold planet, the death of death, that is, the death of consciousness, raising consciousness to life. Pluto never destroys the consciousness. Contemplate the power to kill that which kills the realization of the soul within our personal, individual consciousness. We will not allow that. Those things which kill realization, we will wield these death-dealing energies to kill those energies, those patterns which compromise our consciousness, our realization. We ponder on the sharp shears of Pluto. severing for once and for all the threads of attachment to the unreal, those vices, those bonds to the unreal. We cut them. The upward pointing arrow of death, the true symbol of Pluto, DK tells us, visualized perhaps in black and in the deep red, this arrow. And death to all that which kills our livingness, our sensitive consciousness. Those things we throw away. We expel them. We exile them. We banish them. We will have no more of those things. We will let this energy into our individual and group life. An energy which only disciples and initiates can truly wield. The average non-aspiring man cannot wield these things. But with grim determination, we invoke Pluto on his jet black throne, as it is said. And this solemn lord of the underworld will come to our aid to purify, to heal, to bring an end to death in the lower worlds. The group needs this energy, and perhaps we know where. So as we sound the Om, we watch it flow into the group, imbuing the group, carrying out its mission within the group, freeing and healing the group from the stultifying influences. Oh. These energies are here now. They are more easily accessed now than at other times. Crimson Mars, jet black Pluto. We appropriate them, and selflessly, and as a group, we utilize them. Living energies, not abstractions. Realities. Useful. And now we set our sights upon the brilliant yellow of Mercury in relation to Scorpio, the hierarchical ruler. Mercury, conveyor of the powers of mind which are so sharpened in Scorpio. Yes, but also the influence which conveys transcendent mind, the transcendent light of Buddhi as pure reason, a lighter energy, brilliant energy shining into the miasma, the aggregated miasma known as the dweller on the threshold, and revealing it for what it is, an unreality, an illusory phantom, revealing it and disempowering it through this revelation, devitalizing it entirely through luminous understanding of its unreality. It is actual, yes, but it's not real. It exists and does not exist, and through the rays of Mercury before us in the brilliant yellow, we banish these ancient glamours, illusions, mayas, which so oppress the consciousness. We banish them. Using Mercury in a high and brilliant way to reveal the inner divine patterns which are the reality, the true ideas, and not what our false creativity over the millennia has wrought. Brilliant Mercury flowing into the group, flowing into humanity, bringing the intuition and the power to connect the high and the low, to unify the various factors of mind, whether 3 of them or 5 of them, unifying them so that the highest ideas can make their way into our normal consciousness. Brilliance of Mercury into the group, serving the group needs. How does the group need Mercury? We conceive this, the brilliant exchange of ideas, nourishing each other, nourishing the group light, nourishing its effect within humanity. This transcendental mind appropriated. So let us see the brilliant yellow flow in, flow in, and the group appropriating this and radiating this energy, which is the conquering energy in Scorpio. Oh. Coming to the aid of Pluto and of Mars, and dealing through realization, the final death blow to the illusion. Seeing through it, and helping others see through it as well. So they are no longer captivated by all manner of illusory thoughts, and glamorous emotions, chaotic activities. And Uranus is there too, giving the freedom that all of this brings. The true transformation into the higher ethers as a living, willing being. The great solar logos lies within all these planetary lords. He is the Lord of Love Wisdom, the indigo logos, the blue logos. And whatever may be the ray of any of the planetary logoi, the ray in the rays, it is finally the great ray of love wisdom that pervades this all, and we attempt to feel this. More important in a way than any of the other influences, this great heart of love. We are units within it. We attempt to feel that in the indigo light, pouring through all planets, pouring through Shambhala, through every monad soul, through every personality on planet Earth. The love of the blue logos. The great blue in which we live and move and have our being. Every sign of the zodiac, as we appropriate those energies, serves the ends of the solar logos in our system. The transformer at the nexus point of the hourglass. The great being. We must realize this logos as a being, not just the sun and the sky. Guiding every one of us home. And from that point we think now of Scorpio, the constellation Scorpio, bringing in a peculiar quality of light, the light of day. This is the place, we are told, where three lights meet, the light of form, the light of soul, the light of life. They meet, they blend, they rise. Again, the ascending theme brought out in the illustration. They meet, they blend, they rise, and they are transferred into a higher sphere. So it is a light which shines above and beyond even our causal nature. The monadic light brings all things in the lower worlds into the light of day. A clarifying and disillusioning energy which we so sorely need. We feel now this energy of Scorpio. So intimately related to humanity as a whole, the fourth ray, the sixth ray, the first ray, pouring through. We have big battles today upon this planet. The inner warrior must be invoked. We know what humanity is facing, and probably we feel it in our individual lives. So when we go deeply together into this mantram, warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant, we are thinking not only individually, we are thinking of humanity itself, the warrior, humanity, the disciple, humanity, the becoming initiate of the first degree. We, humanity, the warrior, and the battle all around us with the Hydra, which we, humanity, have generated over the years, aided and abetted by the Black Lodge, yes, but also our responsibility. Let us ponder deeply then, the warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Great decisions lie before humanity, symbolized in a way in the election in the United States with its global impact. What are the forces to be overcome? What is the triumph to be had? Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Warrior I am, and from the battle I, humanity, emerge triumphant. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. And may our strength together multiply. May we uphold our position in this ongoing battle. Remember what Master DK said to his group in the middle of very trying times for humanity. He said, "See that you battle." So let us know how to do this as a group, wielding the forces of the intuition, the disillusioning powers, to banish illusion, glamour, and Maya, and reveal, bringing all things into the light of day, so that many human beings may see what are the true spiritual values. May the necessary strength be ours, so that as a group and with our groups, we may prove ourselves to be Hercules, Heracles, individually and as group and groups. Hercules, the triumphant disciple, the triumphant warrior. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. This emergence necessary if humanity is to emerge rightly into the Aquarian age. And so may it be. May the power emerging, emanating from the one about whom naught may be said, from the center of the Pleiades, through the great dragon, Draco, through the constellation Scorpio, Scorpius, through our solar logos, and through the planetary logoi of Mars, of Pluto, of Mercury, even of Uranus. This power pours, this triumphal power, the triumph of the human spirit, not the triumph of any one group embracing the past over another, no. And into Shambhala, where the will of God is known, where Sanat Kumara stands as the king, into Shambhala, into every monad, into every microcosmic central spiritual sun, through every soul, and let us feel it through every soul, and into every personality, into all the new world servers, the men and women of goodwill, guided by the warriors, the disciples and initiates of the world, and on out into outer expression. This warrior, spiritual warrior energy, descending, pervading, expressed, all of us strengthened in it. Where is it needed in humanity? Look, where is it needed? Scan the globe. Where is this spiritual warrior energy needed? See something, see a situation, a pattern that needs reconfiguration. See it. And as a group and in alignment with these high energies, pass it through and allow it to do its work. So that there can be a stand in spiritual being rather than a capitulation to the forces of the dweller. Let us use the Om 3 times, seeing this spiritual warrior energy pass through and correct, repattern, reconfigure energies now, these patterns which are now under the spell of illusion, glamour, and Maya. Let us see the correction. And we will certainly be sustaining our point of tension as we move towards the actual full moon. Holding our alignment, let us sound together the great invocation. Holding our point of tension, which we resolve to sustain during these next some 9 hours or so, a little more. We will sound the great invocation, spreading these de-glamorizing, disillusioning energies, these energies which bring order, spiritual order to Maya. We will sound together as a group of spiritual warriors who can take a stand in spiritual being for the higher principles which are so needed to defeat the powers that would defeat us. We will spread these triumphant energies to all human beings, all human souls, to the one being soul of humanity, and to the planet. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. I thank you all who have assembled to cooperate in our building of energy towards the full moon, which will be occurring in Universal Time GMT at 7:49 and 26 seconds p.m. So just about 10 minutes to 8 GMT. Now London time. Hold fast to the buildup of energy. This is a preparation. We hold our stance in spiritual being. We hold our inner warriorship as a group. Many things are being decided now. Humanity faces great obstacles, much self-generated, and we must help humanity overcome these obstacles. So let us do our part and then carry on the days of distribution, the 3 days following the actual date of the day of the full moon. We are now within the day of safeguarding. We are within the 12-hour period before the full moon. Hold your point of tension strongly. My thanks to all of you for participating. Let us become the spiritual warriors we inwardly are. Warrior am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Thank you.